It is time for men to get up off the couch and be men. I think we can agree that our culture is drastically in need of God-fearing men taking their rightful role, their rightful position as leaders in our community. We're going to be talking about that at length today, and I've got a great guest to be talking about that. Before I bring him on, just want to remind you, like this video, share it with your friends, your family, your neighbors, if you would. Head on over to rwatch.com, subscribe, become one of our watchmen. We'd really appreciate that. But without further ado, let me welcome my guest today. His name's JD, and I've known JD's dad for a long time. Excited to have JD on the program today. So JD, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would.
I live in Huntington Beach, California. I just like, I think most people these days, just trying to live my life and be left alone, to be honest with you. I have a 2-year-old son that really triggered me to really start to want to step up to some of the stuff going on out there. Like I said, I'd like to be left alone. And then this little guy comes along, and my daughter is 21. My son is 2. So when she was young, I didn't have to worry about a lot of the stuff going on out there. So what I decided to do is just kind of make a stand to what's going on out there. Started a company called UNWOKE. It just kind of fell into my lap. Just kind of came into me, like what I couldn't look my children in the face and not do something. I didn't know what that was. In hindsight, Tim, I went through some addiction things back in my past, not knowing that God was priming me for this particular time right now. God allowed me to walk through the fire and beat some addiction stuff years ago, he was priming me, hardening me to where we are today. Because when COVID hit, I wasn't going to have it. I just, if you want to put a mask on, that's awesome. I'm not doing that, and I got a lot of flack for it, but I was not willing to sell myself out because I'm not doing that, my sister articulated it in a way, she said, she calls me Jonathan. That's my proper name. She said, Jonathan, he made you this rebellious spirit to always stand up to this type of stuff. She said, that's who you've been, so now when COVID hit, I just wasn't going to bend on that stuff. When I went into the grocery store, I wouldn't put the mask on. I wasn't disrespectful. For the most part, I was in my mood sometimes, but for the most part, man, I just made a decision that I'm not doing that. And I just didn't do it, and it was a rough couple years. I'm in California, so we know how that goes in California. But I was willing to say that I didn't sell myself out, and I wasn't going to bend on the stuff because what they were giving to us, I wasn't going to choke down, man, So,
yeah, well, I'm right there in line with you, man. It's funny because I was always a very rebellious youth. I don't like anybody telling me what to do.
Never.
And I took that. The thing is, God made me that way, and I used the way God made me for my own selfishness when I was younger. But what I realized is now, as an adult and a Christian adult and a Christian man, that part of my character is still there, and I can use that for good. And that's what I've been doing. In fact, right out where you're at, Huntington Beach, I ended up speaking at events there constantly. They're at the beach and they're at the Huntington Pier. It seemed like Huntington Beach was like this hotbed of patriotism and people stepping up and saying, no, we're not going to take it.
I was down there every time, and I think, like I said, I think everybody just kind of, for the most part, just wants to be left alone, I didn't really choose this battle. It just all of a sudden, I looked around and you see all these passive men out there. Like, what happened? God made us warriors. They made us. That's the fighting spirit. We are the leaders of our families. We are supposed to be protectors, providers. Again, going back to that drug stuff that I went through and hardening through that stuff, I made some commitments to be a man, which is a man of integrity, a man of character. And the reason is my children are watching. Certain little things like my alarm goes off at 4:15. I don't hit snooze. I'm going to get up. I'm going to, as Ephesians says, put the armor of God on, because if we go out there without that, especially me, I'm attracted to darkness. It was like that from day one. So if I don't put that armor on top of me, man, we walk out to some, it's heavy out there right now. So I try to lead my children by just being that man of integrity, man of character, because like my old man, even though I kind of spit out some of the things that he was putting on me when I was young, it got embedded within my soul. So when, the teacher shows up and the student is the teacher shows up and the student is ready, right? So when I was through my stuff and I was able to have that relationship with God, it was organic, it was pure because it was mine. It wasn't like what my parents were telling me, it was mine. And that relationship is the pinpoint of everything that I do now. It's the protection. Can't do without it.
Right.
Can't do it.
Well, you have an incredible father. Like I said, I know him for many years, and it's so important. The role of a father, the role of men in our society is so vital. And what we see right now, in every direction, is an all-out assault on men, to the point where we have men putting on women's swimsuits and acting like they're a woman and want to swim with women. It's like, this is just repulsive. It has no place in a good society. It's detrimental to the future of America. We need men to really come out against this type of nonsense. And there's a lot of women coming out. That's one thing that's been hard for me over these last several years, is you got a lot of mama bears out there, and God bless the mama bears. They're doing an amazing job, but men need to really start to step up more than they have been. And I know men are under a lot of pressure. We have our jobs, we have to provide for family, but at some point we have to realize that if we don't step up, we're not going to have a family. We're not going to have an America for our family to even live in if we don't step up and say no to this nonsense.
It's not us that I'm worried about. It's not me any longer. It's I have my son's 2, and my next son is coming in within about a month, and I'm so fearful for the world that they're walking into. So again, I'm not able to look my children in the face and just say I didn't do anything. So I have to speak up. My channel on Woke is shining a light on the insanity is one of the slogans that I like to see, because, giving children hormones to change their gender, it's not happening on my watch. It's not going to happen. It's not okay. It's absolute insanity it's hard to even catch up to the fact that we have to talk about this. You know what I mean? But you see guys sitting on the couch, just stubbing their faces with Twinkies and just being left alone. Nope. Men need to stand up. That's our role, is to be the protection, the providers. And I mean, how I say it, Tim, is I'm going to stand in front of everything that I have to, so it doesn't touch my children, and I'm not worried about myself. And that's the warrior spirit that's embedded in our DNA. It's who we are. It's right. God he puts his hand on that.
Right. Well, we need to re-embrace that as men, and we're seeing men just they're for some reason they're not grabbing it. And I know there's a lot of there's men that want to embrace that, and yet there's the culture around us that's telling us it's toxic. I say this: if loving God and going to church and being a provider for your family and a protector for your family and being the spiritual leader in your family, if that's toxic, keep it toxic.
Yeah, then I'm in. Where do I sign?
Yeah. So tell me about UNWOKE.
Yeah, so UNWOKE, it was kind of super organic, man. I was at the gym lifting with a buddy, and we were just talking about all the insanity and talking about the wokeness and all this stuff. And then I don't remember where it started, just the UNWOKE name came. And I just remember thinking, man, that would be awesome to have on a shirt. I'll wear that. And it started at just me wanting to wear an UNWOKE shirt. And then it just literally organically just grew. And the idea behind it is for people to be the slogan is wear your voice. So you let people know that we're not going to deal with this stuff. So, it started as a clothing company. And again, I never really sought after, the objective of what it is outweighs the objective to make money. It's more so of just trying to give people a voice, because courage is contagious. If I have the courage to speak up, I've already had numerous people reach out to me and just be like, thank you for doing this. It's given me the courage to do it. It's that iron sharpens iron stuff. It's my favorite verse, man. Proverbs 27:17. I love it. It's because we use each other to grow. If you see a bunch of passive men, that's contagious. Passive men. If you see men starting to stand up and speak up, it's contagious and it grows. Again, it's not us. that we have to worry about. It's our children. Like, they're walking into a very, very scary world. So again, UNWOKE is just a clothing line that I started. It just started, like I said, because I wanted to wear a shirt, and just kind of grew into that. It's also a channel. I have an Instagram channel, and my objective, Tim, is to shine the light on the insanity, because you have a lot of people that just want to be left alone and literally have no idea. When I say that they're giving kids hormones to change their gender, there's people that don't know that. They think that I'm like, making that up. This is happening. I don't know if you're living under a rock, but This is the insanity that's going on in the world. Right. And if you don't know, that's scary, because they're coming after our kids. It's all up in everything that they watch. We have to be protective of the schools that they go to. Again, my daughter's 21, my son's 2. From the time that she was 21 to now that he's 2, the world has radically changed. I can't even believe that we have to worry about for my children. Scary.
Yeah. Let me tell you a story. So I got a call from a parent who said, hey, there's a man that's overseeing 5-year-olds. He's a substitute teacher for kindergarten today. He's wearing a skirt. He's got painted fingernails, makeup on his face. He's clearly presenting himself as a woman, but he's obviously a man. So I got the call. I said, well, let's go over to the school and find out if this is actually happening. So I show up at the school, and I'm wearing a black Levi's jean jacket and a pair of blue jeans, right? What I'm dressed in is important, and you'll find out in a moment why. But I show up and I ask. I said, "Hey, I was told that there's a man who has a skirt on and painted fingernails, makeup on his face, and he's overseeing 5-year-olds today. Is that true?" And they wouldn't tell me whether or not it was true. And all they were saying is how they're not allowed to discriminate and stuff like that. I said, well, listen, I'm allowed to discriminate. Parents are allowed to discriminate. We parents discriminate all the time. If you're on a playground and some creepy dude is all by himself and walks up and starts talking to your kids, you're going to discriminate against that person.
Period.
Absolutely. Right. So I said, I'm not expecting the school to do anything about this. I just want to know if it's true, because I'll do something about it. I'll make sure the parents are aware and they can pull their kids from the school, because what kind of parent wants their kid around a crazy person? Right. So that, and I was polite about it. I was not yelling. I wasn't posturing in any way. I told them, hey, I'm a spiritual leader in the community. I'm a pastor of a church. I just want to know if this is going on. You know what ended up happening? They brought in the school psychiatrist and the school attorney to talk to their entire staff to find out if my presence harmed them emotionally, if they were emotionally damaged from my presence at the school. And I talked to their security, and they said, well, you have to understand, you come in here wearing that black coat and you're scaring our staff. I said, this is a Levi's jeans jacket. And you mean to tell me that a Levi's jeans jacket on a man in our community is scarier than a dude with a skirt? I think
how did we
dudes with mental how did we get where dudes with mental illness so severe they put on women's clothing? That's not scary, putting somebody like that in charge of our kids. I know the parents in our community. The parents in our community are far more comfortable with me on that campus than that mentally disturbed man. This is where we're at, JD. And this is what parents have to know.
Yeah, just not on my watch, man. I love that you went down there. So call me next time. I'll go with you.
All right.
I can't have it around my children. Again, I don't judge people. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. When it starts to include my children, then I care what you do. Like, if you want to do whatever you want to do, I don't care. I might find it a little odd or strange, whatever. When you start bringing around children, I draw the line. Like, that's what men are supposed to do. That's the warrior spirit that I'm talking about, Tim, that we need to. It needs to be courageous or contagious. It needs to grow, and men need to stand up, period. It's our jobs. I mean, women too, but it's in our DNA, man. It's time for guys like that, like you, to go down there. I want to do that stuff too, man, just because, man, they're coming after our children. I mean, can you imagine being 5 and having a dude in a skirt? What's the point of that? It's crazy, man.
There was a time in America where the men in America would never have let that happen.
Period. It's our fault. I say it all the time. Men have been sleeping, but I like this brand too. Lions Not Sheep. It's time for us to wake up the sleeping lions. That's a slogan that I like to use because it's just time. You know,
Yeah.
we got here because nobody spoke up. We got here
Yeah.
because men were sleeping at the wheel, and it's time for all of us to shine the light on the insanity and stand in front of it, because what's coming after our children is very, very evil.
Yeah. The thing is, we are the light of the world, right? And a light reveals the wickedness that's in the darkness. That's what light does. It shows you what's there in the dark. So we have to be the ones who expose this kind of stuff and say no to it. Another thing that some of our audience might not know is this: in the state of California, our tax dollars now fund something incredibly insane. If you are a child in another state and you want a transgender and your parents won't let you do it, the message is this: run away from home, come to California, we'll take over, and we'll give you the transgender therapy without your parents' consent. And now your parents can't come. They can't come to the state and get you. We own you now. That's what's happening in the state of California. And you're right. Parents don't know these things.
That's crazy.
What's that?
I don't understand how we got here so fast. I mean, that's absolutely insane. How anybody can even say that that's not, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's scary times, man. Well, if we don't do something, man, we're in a lot of trouble. It's just, what you said, that's just unreal. Oh.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me ask you, how can people follow you and how can they connect with what you're doing?
Yeah. So if you'd like to pick up some Unwoke gear, it's unwoke-army.com. That's the website. You can pick up a lot of hats, shirts, sweatshirts, all that stuff. I have an Instagram page that I run, and it's at unwoke_army.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
appreciate all you're doing, and love to continue to connect with you, and we can bounce ideas off each other. Of course, if you ever have anything out in your neck of the woods going on, I'll come out and join you as well. So let's stay in touch. And I do ask everybody that's watching to connect with JD, follow what he's doing, and also want to thank you all for joining us today. Like this video, share it with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and also head over to ourwatch.com, subscribe, become one of our watchmen. Really appreciate that. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Our Watch with Tim Thompson.